when it comes to the topic of aliens, I never, I don't know if I've met aliens. The fact is, I look at the word, the possibility, a lot of things I don't, my mind is opening up to. I know that the Earth is very supernatural and very special. So anything that they're looking for is in outer space. It floats in outer space, so you know what I'm saying? It is an alien kind of thing. But aliens, were regarded as people that were not from this country, so they have a different culture, right? And people, they're scared of change. So anytime they hear culture or culture clash, they're scared of something that's gonna, go against their stability or their country or their way of life in their area and stuff. But then when you bring up the hypocrisy of things, it's just like it's a word. It means foreign from, so it's different. You know, they're apprehensive of these things, but it's nothing to attack. A lot of times people want to attack that which they don't understand. And history repeats itself over and over again. And then they want to point fingers at each other because there's always opposing. There's always red and blue, Republican, Democrat, saying man and woman, this group, and stuff like that. But the fact is, we're still civilians and we still fight for our rights. When they talk about civil rights, you automatically think about MLK and Martin Luther King. Before they were born, people were fighting for their civilian civil rights. Is like, I know it was a movement, but it's still going on right now. People understand that there's tactics that they kind of call you a cult when you talk about the truth. First of all, the word cult comes from culture, right? Now, I know you heard that a lot before, but it's like how it's said and how it's done. So cult goes with culture. Now, what if it's their culture to discredit people, dehumanize them, because under the scenes, unbeknownst to you, in the church they say man does not know all cannot grasp all the truth. So it's the holy ones that are ordained to dictate it to them. In the state, it's also the humans are too stupid. You hear all those Rockefeller and the Rothschild things or whatever. Like humans are too stupid to grasp the knowledge and understand business and stuff like that. Therefore, they should only be workers, and we only the businesses because we're a special bloodline. Now, when it comes to aliens, there's this thing that said that sometimes Ancestors.com has this thing where you do the work. You put all your family's history, and they can find your history for you. But they said this other thing that just like social media was designed to put all the pictures of your family, so the CIA doesn't have to make how they make a movie and there's a file with everybody's family. I know your whole family. I know all this. I know all this. It's a person's psychic. There's a file on everybody, and only if you're a person of interest are they going to go into it. But if you're a person of interest, they may even try to manipulate and highlight or black out what they want. So. Hey, nature can highlight and black out a lot of things. You see, that's what they studied, Anyway, so now, if it's their culture because that's how you hunt things. First, you have to put a trap on the ground. Then you have to put feed on the ground. Then the animal has to naturally follow then you catch it. All right, that's hunting. You don't have to hunt for no fucking reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially if it's detrimental to kill people or to destroy people. So people, they only have that. You got to understand the Neanderthals. So they're not hunting for food. It's just that it's probably the only thing they can get satisfaction over. Or nature speaks without speaking, and probably they hate how nature speaks to them so much. The only way they can get back at nature is by killing a physical form of it as a habit for no reason, just to do it. Now, sometimes they sacrifice man, but human sacrifice has been something for a very long time. They act like it's a very savage thing, but it's in your religion all the time. They used to sacrifice animals, and they use them as code words. It's the greatest of all time. You can get goat, and they used to sacrifice goats so they could see how they make a 5-pointed star and put that. It wasn't in the 5-pointed star. It just shows them trying to conquer nature. And they do get, a double-edged sword, and when you talk and stuff like that, doesn't talk with words, but the signs that they get, sometimes they feel like they pissed off at life for probably a different reason. And you know what I'm saying? So anyway, they say if they make a culture of that, those are the prerequisites. Snatching people's birthrights. They say that they want certain people to give birth. Why is this like some kind of medical procedure? You're supposed to meet somebody you like, and then you don't have to explain the rest. That's why kids, they have to explain the rest. That's why. How come it's harder for those things to happen? And they happen, but they're acting like they're selecting the people like for these courses because they're not of that frequency. That's why they're doing it so robotically. So people don't want people to shine light upon that, but they should probably let the professionals do. They don't. They overwork the professionals and try to break them apart and steal their children so they can put them in their program. Because those are the cream of the crop. They're the greatest stock. The greatest stock are the people that are not them, and they want to initiate them because of who they are, which is not them. So that's the problem, because they use up the people, and those people aren't cool. When people propagate truth, the people only get better. That's why they don't like them. And anywhere you go in this God's green earth, if you say Elo, that's singular, and if you say Elohim, it's plural. It's a truth. That's a truth. But because somebody said that. Now, if I say that, who are you going to think of? You're going to think the Talmud, or you're going to think of the word itself, or you're going to think about the messenger that opened that seal of thought so everybody can use that? Overstand has been used before. Yes. But when somebody said it, because of the way it was used and the power of it was used and the energy behind the word, can that be denied? No. But now, then what are they going to try to, you know what I'm saying? Bullshit. That brings up even stronger. Yeah, it brings up the status quo. Do you fuck? Yeah, exactly. Those are not good laws, and you're using lies because you don't want to let people do what they want to do on that level. You're admitting that you get energy off of unfairness and untruth. When they speak the truth, it burns. Now you want to burn them, but you can't because they work off of the foundation of truth. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna cause problems so that you can take at least the clot of a lie, regraft more, the clot of the truth, and try to regraft more lies that make no sense. And it's propagating something that still doesn't balance. You're gonna take Egyptian things. Anubis has a scale; it balances. Regardless if you believe in Anubis or not, Imhotep is not a negative person. So why in Hollywood, when they're trying to cast spells on you, is Imhotep a bad person? But dig this. He's a modern, he helped medicine and sciences. So they put a white man's face on him. So if you hate him, you know what I'm saying? Look at this. You're gonna hate Imhotep. They kind of made him, they gave him a tan or something like that, like a spray tan. Just because they want you to believe that the Egyptians, they have to put him under a negative. Why would you make Imhotep a bad person? in Hollywood, because Hollywood casts spells. And if he's the father of medicine and science and they wanted to break his nose off because they'd rather give him a spray tan, how angry are they about the real truth of him? And why would they want to project that? Oh, I know who Imhotep was. He was just some bad guy in, American mythology. People owned America. They just changed the history books and are acting savage to the people that own it. So they're the real alien invaders. And if they want to invade your pineal gland so they can have adrenochrome, you already saw the movie I Come in Peace. Because you see them putting their buns in the oven, but every time you have a kid, it's a fucking something like that, and then you see the divide and conquers going on there. You see all the talk shows. You'll have to make a clown of somebody's race or put your children down just so that, before they achieve anything. And the jungle of life is like they try to tag them or brand them with something so that they can fucking try to... It's not fair. As them admitting that they have to do something. Like Gladiator, they have to cut you before the fucking games are on that you don't even know have started. Because they set it up for you to lose or whatever the hell the case may be. And those people that are in your corner or, inspire you, go through it also. That's why I really think that there was people that were incarnated from a higher dimension of life. Because if the sun, that's why they call him the son of righteousness. If the sun shines in the sky and it gives birth to everything on the planet, the farther you fall away from your soul, the colder things get, the colder you get, or whatever the hell it is. And you can see the characteristics of that in the people. And life has a balance. And they know off the intent. Anyway, and the word called, it was ET. Also, you have diets. You may have a foreign diet. You're people from a different climate. You come to this country, they eat a certain way. When they see the word die means word something, and ET also is like die, and you see T at the end. It's like sections, four corners, and it goes to four chords. You can die because of your diet, because you're foreign, and their diet's for them. So your food for thought, what you digest. You are what you eat, physical and spiritual and mental. So there's always a physical plane and a mental plane. So you have to watch what you eat. And a diet, you could die ET if you're not from there. You don't know what they're trying to feed you. That's actually foreign to your system. So you got to watch that, though. That's why certain aliens, their atmosphere is not conducive to them. They go to different planets and you notice that they can't sustain themselves in their atmosphere. It's the truth. Some people eat certain food. Some people are used to the cold. Some people are used to the heat. And they go to somebody else's atmosphere and they can't maintain themselves. And a lot of times they feel insecurities because they can't maintain themselves in another person's atmosphere or culture, and they have to make them inferior and make a reason. That's the reason why they're not accepted within their culture. And then they'll try to steal the story from somebody actually know they are primitive. They won't accept, Extra terra is terrain. Also, the planet used to be called Terra, the Earth. It was called Terra, and astral is like, you ever heard of astral projections? A trial by fire, that the sun is in the sky, and then, the things have to go through the burning fire, and you see the result at the end. And whatever you win at the end of the Olympics is on you. But however you want to interpret it. But an extra, that means that it's not from there, but it's an extra on that terrain. Is a land that you walk, the earth, the firmament, terra. And astral is like, astral is from a soul realm. Astral, they say that the astral project. Usually when they sleep, it's the soul that keeps you alive, or the soul spark in you. And if you use that in a projected form, that's why they talk about the phallus. A lot of women, they had mishaps and all that stuff, problems. Your private affairs aren't necessarily evil just because they're private. You have to keep things private so that they grow right and do well, because too much interest on it could destroy it, regardless of their intent, according to the chemistry of the situation. So that's what people get misconstrued. That's why I didn't want people to know their business, but everybody wants to be intrusive, and their energy can be bad if intrusive. You know, like an animal taking care of their pets in the room, people around it, it can change the scent, and then the mother won't. Not they won't recognize the children spiritually, and they won't feed or whatever the hell, because there's laws that we don't. I'm not gonna go into all that. The fact is, extra terrain, the terrain is the earth and an astral. So how are you going to say that souls can't manifest on the planet if the very word extraterrestrial means an extra terrain walking astral being, and we're all souls living a physical and being a physical existence, and it's in the word extraterrestrial astral. So if it's extra a terrain astral, I mean souls manifest here, but there's an extra one that manifests here. Why would an extra terrain want to be manifest here? Because of interest. And in the interest, they can pull up the records, they can say Akashic or whatever they use that we don't know, that we try to, use our tablets for. If they're in existence, or if they're from another land, they have their own history. You see how it can go from terrain travelers or traveling men to, even if it goes to higher densities of people that manifest on this plane from the different dimensions, or a class system, or the pyramid scheme, or the pyramid system, however you want to implement the tools that you were given to build. The extra terrain walkers, if you're on a land, you own the land, you're telling them that they don't belong in your land, you're an extra terrain, or you're a UFO. They used to try to say, oh, you're a UFO, you're an unidentified flying object. You're floating around their area and they don't know you're unidentified. No, you're unidentifiable, you're unscannable. You know what I'm saying? Or they don't want you in the land. They know your history, but they're denying your history. What they probably treat you different because you're different. They don't want to accept anything new because they don't know the effects of your chemistry upon their, or their, closing submissions or whatever. So I think that sometimes things from different levels need to process. Like, people came to America to teach the peoples. Like, people let them out of slavery, but they didn't know necessarily their history. So some people came here to teach their history. Some people come in here and show them their culture. And then they found out that their culture is actually in their land also, and is from foreign lands. So they have origins in alien lands. But there's a smorgasbord and a primordial soup going on within their own land of their cultures, because it's a clash of cultures and a mixture of cultures, and you have a mixing pot and stuff. So that's just, food for thought of how people and aliens.